how was your pee break?
My pee break.
They might flash you undetected.
Random baby.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
I too am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor. You know, I feel like I'm allowed to get away with a lot on this fine program because, let's be real, like we're a tight-knit crew here, but it's not at Joe Rogan, you know, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of viewers just yet. So I basically get away with saying whatever the shit that I want. And I think about this often. Take even in one of my recent episodes where I talked about, I reflected, I don't even know what is happening, right? The upside down that we are in, but reflecting on Nick Fuentes' recent statement where he's like, everybody's a little bit racist. And I was like, everybody is a little bit racist. Like, where's the lie? Stop lying to yourselves. And imagine, sometimes I think about this, you know, like I put my brain in that alternate universe vortex and I'm like, people would just be like, oh my God, this Jew colonizer, racist, hater, blah, 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 blah. Like word salad into oblivion on Reddit, right? I'm only sure. I think about this often. But then I'm like, also, if we're at that level, yes, the answer is yes, I would hope, but continue to not give any fucks and just say what is real and what we think. But yeah. But just know, I do think about that. I do think about like having the luxury of just getting away with whatever I want because it's not being scrutinized under a microscope just yet, you know. But mark this day down, you know, the Indigenous Goxstein News Network Day. That when that day comes, you bet your ass I won't still give a shit and say what I think. What is up, Pyramid 7? So I set the table with this today because I'm going to be going into this episode, which I threw together last minute. And the reason I'm looking over here, it's not because I'm looking at like my fake AI tits that I showed you guys in a recent episode. I'm actually, because I put this episode together last minute. So sadly, my little note card is empty and I'm looking at my notes on my computer, which I don't do because I am a caveman. I don't know how these people do it, but let's just go with it. You know, like this outfit may not make sense. I'm looking at your boob eye level or chest eye level, guys, you know, your hairy chest eye level with my notes here. I don't know how people do it, but anyways, this is what I am looking at. So Godspeed and let's see how this goes. But okay, so today's episode, yes, because, you know, we're doing this daily. And, you know, a bitch is running the ship behind the scenes. So I didn't have time to write my notes nicely, but I put them together here for you, you know, because I'm still going to show up for you, the people. What does this look like? What does this look like, you know, in my hillbilly plaid today? But I'm tying all of these stories and themes together all around legacy again. You know, I think about this often, but also our cultural obsession and how we take things and we either romanticize and mythologize them, or we hate them, or we cement them in history or in the cultural dialogue one way or the other, you know, when it comes to like worship or again, lack thereof or resolution. And, you know, basically in today's world, how we all know that there is no complexity to be had. So that's what got me thinking about all this, you know, like if my, you know, crazy unhinged remarks, you know, how they would bode, if they would bode well in a scrutinized world where everyone's looking at and trying to make sense of others' legacy and meaning. Belly button level. Yeah, we'll call it that for now, pyramid side. It depends on how much you're packing, how much you know, your belly button is packing down there. So speaking of today's world, I don't know if you all know this. I was today years old when I found out that actually it's Indigenous Peoples Day, I still fucking thought it was Columbus Day. Like, where am I even living? I don't know. Anyone else know this? Like, raise your hand. Okay, I'm not the only one. And you talk about legacy, right? Christopher Columbus, my fellow Italian. I just feel like I'm getting bad raps. These fuckers between, the colonizing Italians, the quote unquote colonizing Jews. It's like the Italian Jewish girl just can't catch a break here on the internet. See, maybe that's the point. Maybe the Reddits and the TikToks and the internet interwebs will just, decide and determine my legacy for me like they're doing with everyone and everything else. And they're even the dead who aren't even here to defend themselves, right? So for all intents and purposes, my ass still thought it was Columbus Day, but little did I know. So this just cracks me up because Trump, like being Trump, has to go so extra. And he's like, not only are we reversing it back to Columbus Day, however, Christopher Columbus was, and I quote, one of the most visionary men to ever walk the face of the earth, and, really captured the American spirit and grit and visionary and being a leader and explorer and all this, right? And again, because there is no nuance in anything ever anymore, like nobody can say, because I've also seen thought pieces galore on the internet why we shouldn't celebrate Columbus Day. He was a colonizer. It's like, bitch, both things can be true at the same time, but again, everybody has the biggest boner for, like I said, determining the legacy of others as if their say is like the end all be all. And it's like, bitch, who made you the almanac of the world? Like, I don't think so. Pyramid 7 Savage, you could get in on that guitar money like people think Tucker Carlson is. Ooh. Okay. So yes, and we can also acknowledge that Christopher Columbus did really bad, evil things. Enslavement, tortured, actually did colonize, right? Exploited women, all of these things. But, it's almost like a game of telephone even, what isn't? But what is this here? I'm going to address this comment in a second because I don't even know what's happening here in this corner of the web. But I actually, again, just became privy to this because I feel like we're bought into like Christopher Columbus discovered America. We know that's not true because there were Native Americans and indigenous people here. But I thought that meant the mainland, and it did not. It did not. I didn't realize he never actually set foot. Yes, he discovered the Caribbean and all this, right? But or not discovered, but that's where he wound up, on his ship in the deep blue sea in the perfect storm, like George Clooney could never. And he did not actually step foot on the mainland. His predecessors did. And what happened was this was actually sort of like a story when I talk about, how we make myth or, romanticize, make things sort of fantastical. Puritans started telling his story, again, to sort of capture that American spirit in, discovery and freedom, which again, in the context of things seems contradictory, but exploring it in all this. And perseverance, if you will. So it just goes to show that what I'm discussing today, like this is the tale as old as Columbus or as I recently learned, Indigenous People Day, right? The tale is old as time. But I do love how, again, because Trump is so extra, he's like, this is giving Italians a bad name. Like he literally said over the weekend, like, we're back, Italians. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Having our back on that one. There was a time when Italians were discriminated against too. Don't forget about us, us Guidos over here. Okay. Is the topic? Well, I really have to go after. Who is this hater? I just came in. Is the topic how another future cat lady wants her freedom to merchandise her looks before she ages? That was the runner-up for the title of this fine program and episode, but close but no cigar. So that is not. What's up, Abba? I know, right? This is like Abba said, are we in school? definitely in school, I like to, drop a little knowledge, where I can for the peoples. And because again, that's the other thing too. It's like, especially these days, I'm like kids these days, but everyone thinks they know everything. And it's like, they don't know shit. Like literally, they don't know. And the ignorance is just profound, if you will. Okay. All right. So moving on, and Abba, all you guys just joining. Yeah, I know, right? I am doing things differently today because I look like I'm ADD, but I'm not. I'm not trying to fill the ADD disability DEI quota today. I don't have my notes written down like I normally do. I have them on my computer here. And again, I don't know how most functioning normal adults do this who have shows. I don't know, maybe I'm just old school and I like to see them in front of me and write them out. So if I seem like split personality, like a psycho, which we're actually going to get to right now, that is precisely why. Yeah, exactly. They literally, they don't know shit. And that's the thing. I mean, we see it across the board with all of these topics, like literal history, discrimination, biology. It's like people, I don't even want to say kids. It's like people think they know and they think that it is like the history class of the century. You don't need notes. I know, I probably don't. I've been working, I'm a little tired. So if I'm just fucking going in circles of Christopher Columbus's shit, but that's why. I could just riff, I know. But I'm dependent. I'm hanging with my little notes here. Okay. So DiCaprio. So Leo DiCaprio's new movie, it's called One Battle After Another. And what is fascinating, because again, we talk about legacy events and how they are put in buckets. If it's, like I said, romanticized or demonized and what have you. So this is what's so fascinating about this. And just so you know, again, a little knowledge today. I don't know. Do I look like a typical like high school teacher? I don't know. I don't think so today. I had to like have this sort of like Hillbilly Jane cover. It's a little chilly here in Nashville, but also to balance like whatever is happening here. It's all I can't distract you all too much in this class. Okay, Abba said he wants to see that movie. Yeah, I want to see it too. And I'm going to preface this by saying I have not seen the movie yet. But here's what's fascinating. It's sort of a meta moment, and it speaks to all of this, like pushing the boundary, controversy, and how people will categorize that, right? So if you didn't know, the movie is loosely based on I think it's a 1990 novel by Thomas Pynchon about inspired by the Reagan era. The Reagan era set novel, Vineland. And it chronicles revolutionaries who are up against what they think is authoritarianism. And they are like out for blood. Take a minute, class. No pop quiz here, but think about how that may or may not apply to current society. But you're welcome in the front row of my classroom anytime. And I may or may not spank you with my ruler. I don't know. We shall see. So yes, people are, again, just like Columbus, i.e. Indigenous People Day, like i.e. Italians be like that, sometimes no. Both sides, if you will, or camps are categorizing this in two totally different ways, right? There's one who's saying like, because I think the movie does glorify like political violence and all of this, right? And on the heels of like the Charlie Kirk assassination and also just the unhinged environment we're living in general, people are saying like, this is literally not reading the room. Namely, I talked about the meta moment. I'm going to get to who people is in a second. But then you have the mainstream, again, writing think pieces up the wazoo about how this is so bold and brilliant and imaginative. And it's really about power and oppression and hope. Why? Because that these motherfuckers are going to see this as their manifesto of like going up against the biggest quote fascist quote Nazi quote Hitler, Trump and his regime and yada, 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 right? So they're going to see this as like such an imaginative retelling and blah, blah, blah. But here's what's wild about this is that a famed author, you may know him, Bret Easton Ellis. Like you may know him. I don't even know him because I'm reading it off my notes. Okay, Bret Easton Ellis criticized the movie, which he saw about this. Like, it's not reading the room. Okay, let me tell you, this author is one of the most controversial, at least in recent American history. He wrote American Psycho. Okay, so his themes were all about literally being so dark, literally being psychotic, being serial killers, right? And even American Psycho, before the Christian Bale movie, before Christian Bale was rocking out with like his cock and headphones out in that movie, the novel was instantly controversial, right? It was only later that it became a like cult classic, and you know, such a garner that cult following and such a hit. And so that's why I thought that this was so interesting, because I was like, this man of all people, like, who really was provocative and controversial, in all of his work, like his whole repertoire, is even looking at this and being like, what are they like, they are not reading the room. Like, this ain't it. And this is just gonna fuel the fire even more. And what are they doing? And he even goes as far as to say, this is really like pandering, you know, the left wing talking points of, you know, everything discussed, like how, you know, political violence and so, and we're in a fascist society and yada yada, you know, all that stuff. So, and how poorly timed this is. So I just thought that that was all so fascinating, because it's like, it almost reminds me of when, remember when the member of Twisted Sister came out about, you know, the trans issues that have exploded and how it just didn't make sense when it came to biological men in women's spaces and sports. And it was like, it's like that kind of moment that I'm seeing here, right? Like, this is Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it, who was up against the institution, the man, the machine. And he was even like, what the fuck, like, the math ain't mathing. That's like this with Bret Easton Ellis. Like, it's so crazy. It's one of those moments where it's like it all comes around right from the horse's mouth. Oh my God, Abba is naughty today. He said I can watch this with my show muted. I hope so, because I don't know if I'm making the fuck sense today. So I will happily take it. So yeah, so I want to see one battle after another, and I will be the judge of that myself. Now, am I going to spend like, I don't know, $20 at AMC like that? I'll never get time. I'll never get, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That remains to be seen. If you BRB Pyramid 7, if you guys do see it though, let me know. So yeah, so that's something like, as we move forward, right, in this journey to, again, setting the high seas. Okay, that was not meant to be a Hitler salute, obviously, a la Elon. Sometimes it just happens. Like, sometimes, again, it just like be like that, you know? Like, you didn't mean to do the salute, did you? You know? Yes, but with all of this, right? Again, be it Christopher Columbus novels from, you know, the 80s, 90s, now re-envisioned in our time and criticized by those who were real ball busters and groundbreakers and trailblazers in a prior time. Like, the whole thing, it just does make you stop and kind of take a step back and really think, you know, how much of somebody's legacy or our society are things that we've been told to feel about it. You know, again, now, you know, can we take things for what they are? Can we see the good with the bad? Now, are we so far gone that it is going to be put in a camp either way? Again, both of these examples fit into this, right? Be it Christopher Columbus, or, you know, the Italian on a mission to just take over and not, you know, take over the pizza ovens, if you will. And this new movie too. So yes, that is what is happening. My brain is not working today, guys. I don't even fucking know. Okay. So when I was looking at the movie write-ups, because again, you are going to have all of these mainstream outlets. Like, I saw so many, like Rolling Stone, this, that, the other thing, be like, this is the best movie. And it did. It's done like 100 million already. in the box office, but they are literally like giving it a Pulitzer and a Nobel. Like, move over lady from Venezuela, move over Trump for the historic peace deal. Like, sorry, it goes to this movie. That's the mainstream, right? Though, because they're going to see it as this, like I said, like this manifesto for like hope and peace, and really kind of like giving it that meaning. But in one of the write-ups that I saw, it compared it to Macabre, which was interesting because this weekend I had a whole Edgar Allan Poe journey, who was the father of Macabre. And like, I revere him so much as in so many levels. And you guys are going to come to see probably this week why. So I went over the weekend they brought back, because it was so popular, the Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy series that they tore around the country. And I went here in Nashville. And I'm simultaneously was finishing The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix, which is based on Edgar Allan Poe. And I just respect him and his legacy for so many reasons, like being so truly ahead of his time, being so tortured, being so genius, being so brilliant. And again, like we've talked a lot lately about what AI can or can't replicate and cannibalizing human creativity. And Edgar Allan Poe, you guys know, similarly, like I love the Van Goghs of it all. It's just that pure, raw human genius. It's like almost like nature. It's like literally looking out at nature or like giving birth, right? That's so human. And he just captured so many evergreen, universal, undying, the spectrum of human life and emotion, the dark and the tortured and the brutal to the unconditional love and just all of it and what he did again. And do you guys know that he actually basically created the fiction detective genre as well? So it was so fun. And like, again, on the heels of talking about AI and how AI is coming for everybody's ass, to go and watch it in person. And I even posted, I was like, man, AI could never replace this. Like, just the theater and the performance and the art in person was so beautiful. And then again, like putting it up to the show and seeing how many things from the show reference the very poetry and works that they played out that night. But I also got to know the cast, and as a little treat, I actually interviewed them in a panel all about this, and it's going to run as an episode of the show probably sometime this week, because I'll be traveling, so I'm going to have to like hit it and quit it in an airport like I've done before. Abba thinks I should see One Battle After Another tonight. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm committed to the cause, but I'm just going to be a fair weather viewer like other commentators and, weigh in without even seeing the fucking movie. So you guys just take my word on it. No, I actually am flying to LA tomorrow because I'm hosting a event and panel actually all about content creation in Web3 and AI space and moving forward. So that's why the show this week is going to be a little hit or miss. You'll have to see. I might like one night stand you guys. Like I might be here Monday night. I don't know. Tomorrow night, you may not see my ass, and who knows? Like this could be one of your, leftover frackets from our time here on the show. But okay, I bring up the Edgar Allan Poe thing because that to me is an example of a legacy that like you would have to have half a brain to not at least acknowledge or respect that legacy for what it is and what he did, that was so groundbreaking and ahead of the time. And I talk about it with the actors of the show, but how, he, like so many, died, never mind not seeing his success or his worldwide like icon status or fame, but poor, broken, drunk, and just misunderstood. How it's really kind of like existential and depressing, but that's okay. We can appreciate it now. But again, when you talk about, I don't know, I was sort of like, again, I haven't seen the movie yet, but it made me think of my weekend with Edgar Allan Poe, because like I said, one of the pieces jerking off to the movie as its new Bible, like I said, described it akin to a macabre. And I was like, okay, Edgar, don't. I haven't even seen this movie yet to know, like, do not put it in the category of my Edgar Allan Poe, But again, that's what cultural obsession, it be like that. And it be subjective and it be a myth half the time. And it's like, it gives I feel like these cultural moments, figures, events, this is not revolutionary, but they've always had the weight and the meaning that we've given them. But I think kind of what I'm getting at with all of this is like now more than ever, hence fucking Columbus Day being so divisive. It's not just that they carry the weight we give them, it's like almost the meaning as well, and how even that in and of itself is so divisive and polarized. Again, like we can't even look at something like a Columbus Day and be like, okay, what he did was, completely obviously historic and revolutionary. He also did bad things. Should we be taking down statues of him? No, probably, because history repeats itself and we learn by reflecting on it and not repeating those very things, right? Like common sense. But I do have, because again, all of these can be divisive. Everyone can have their own opinion. They could be viewed on totally opposite sides of the spectrum, but depending on who you ask and who's talking. But I did see two real world examples in the last a couple days that really, I think, encapsulate legacy when it comes to resolution and being human in a way. One obviously is the peace deal in the Middle East, and seeing, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen video after video of both Israeli hostages being released and reunited with their families and just like screaming and joy and crying. I mean, I was even thinking in those moments, like, can you imagine how fucking traumatized they have to be? Like, we see them all happy and reuniting, and it's so pure and it's so human and it is so hopeful. Like some of these columnists want to say about the new fucking Leo DiCaprio movie. But there has to be so much going on there. I mean, I can't even imagine what's going on in their heads, like what they saw, what they witnessed, thinking like, I very well could and probably should have been dead. And I'm here in this miraculous event, like basically a miracle, right? And also the release of Palestinian prisoners who Israel held, and seeing them being, reunited and, with loved ones and release and all of that. And I thought all around, wow, like what a moment. And let's hope that it lasts. In classic Trump, he's like, in 3,000 years, it's never happened, but it is. And as much as people want to knock it, and again, all subjective, like I said last time, all the people ceasefire. I don't know. They suddenly went mute. I don't know what happened. Like the ghost of Helen Keller took over their bodies because they haven't said anything. Like they literally can't even come out of the woodwork and be like, yes, this is a good thing. We're seeing humanity here, progress, hopefully lasting peace. Even goddamn Hillary Clinton could do it. So you know what? If Hillary, who probably could kill you with her thumb, could say it, so can you, bitch. But that's one example is, again, that true resolution when it comes to legacy, right? And also, oh shit. Oh, ABBA. Okay, perfect. ABBA's gonna go see the movie tonight. I hope that this influenced you, and you better come back. You best come back with a review. But I personally was devastated. Diane Keaton passing away. Okay, when I saw this news, I literally screamed out. I was shrieking to my boyfriend. He was like, "What happened?" Like, I was like, Diane Keaton died. I literally couldn't believe it. Right? Didn't I? He just walked in. Didn't I scream when Diane Keaton died? You're on the air. He's just nodding. He's stuck in his tracks and does not know what to do. Just like people are in mental Olympics of whether they should say Columbus Day or Indigenous People Day. But yes. And this is somebody again whose art and creativity, she touched me and I was so obsessed with her. Aw, I'm glad, Abba, that I influenced you. Just like Diane Keaton influenced me, she is, to me, the epitome of like such a true artist, like not only so gifted and talented, but so badass and so original, like with her big belts and her turtlenecks, the whole thing. And so many of her performances just really give me that escapism and joy and hope in times of, that are hard, in times of challenge. And I personally, and I didn't even know she was sick. It was just one of those things that's like, no, this person like can't be dead. Like, and like larger than life, right? In that way. So I was really personally devastated about that because I love her so much and just thought she was, so amazing. So how we end here as I read off of, get used to this, guys, because this is what it's going to look like when AI influencer robots take over your feeds. They're just going to be straight up reading like it is the Terminator. Okay. But whatever. I'm the cleavage Terminator going on. So to end all of this, really thinking about how we celebrate, mythologize, and critique visionaries, again, across all of these realms, across literature, across art, across politics. And I think also, I'm reading my notes here. Sorry, this is so cheesy. I'm trying to seem like I'm in the moment. I'm really not good scripted. That's why I never use a teleprompter. Yeah, with all of these, seeing all sides of it, seeing maybe it is like the dark, the light, the satire, the serious, and the reality, right? And all of it all at the same time. And I would say too, again, because we are really grappling with moving forward in this new world, both culturally with technology, all of it, but also like leave here knowing that people are going to pick apart your legacy and what you've done and your work, but just do it your way. Like, because at the end of the day, look at what's happening here. Like, again, even goddamn Columbus, who's not even here to defend himself, like half of these people, they're going to do it anyway. So just do it your way. Like, pull a Frank Sinatra and do it your way, and just think like, who cares? Because that's what's most important at the end of the day. That is what's most important. But secondly, too, if you do have something to say about my girl Diane Keaton, I will officially come for your ass. Because how the fuck, like, literally, do you have a soul? Like, are you Hamas? Like, do you have a soul that you don't have regard for Diane Keaton's life? If that's the case, like, I do not trust you. Anyways, that is a legacy that cannot be tampered or fucked with. Not on my watch. So, with that said, do it your way, because everyone's going to have their say anyway, and who the fuck cares, right, what they think. Your integrity is what is the most important. Although I don't know how much integrity I have, because I don't know if I'm able to do this show tomorrow, because I am going to be touching down in Gavin Newsom town. Yeah, wish me luck. So tomorrow night and Wednesday night are going to be a little bit sketchy, guys, but after that, I'll be back Thursday, Friday, and I do have a big guest on Friday. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and keep your legacies popping, and I will see you later this week. All right, good night.
Chris, how was your pee break?
My pee break.
They might flash you undetected.
Look at them, baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Quite an intro.
Let's address the elephant in the room. That's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant. Nobody cares.
I too am a thought criminal.
Good. Well, I like you already.
Does this look like a girl who's joking around?
No.
No.
Around?
But how much do you actually understand money? Especially the new wave.
Beauty or intelligence? When you unleash both, it is men's kryptonite. Welcome to Talk to Me, Taylor.